Hey, Despicable Me fans and Illumination and Universal fans. Today is a very special day for all of us. We are celebrating the 15th anniversary of Illumination's first animated film, Despicable Me. It was opened in theaters on July 9, 2010. And this was Universal and Illumination's first ever the, the film the first film that started all. Despicable Me from Illumination. Gru was the number one supervillain of all time. I mean, the number one greatest supervillain of all time. Sorry. In fact, he announced his minions that he's going to steal the shrink ray, and then he'll build a rocket and going to space and steal the moon. But and then he'd go on a heist to get the shrink ray. So they succeeded, but unfortunately it was taken by a nerdy villain named Victor Vector Perkins. And Vector believes that Gru was the second supervillain. In fact, Vector was the number one's greatest supervillain of all time. And he outsmarted Gru and got away with the shrink ray. A day later, after that, Gru managed to go to Vector's hideout to reclaim the shrink ray in disguise or find a way to get in. But it didn't go so well. He managed to spy without getting caught. But it didn't go so well either. And then he found a trio of orphan girls named Margot, Edith, and Agnes. They've been waiting to get adopted for years, but their dreams never came true. But Gru got an idea. He decided to adopt them so they can use them as a secret plan to get the shrink ray. And Gru disguised as a dentist and agreed to adopt Margot, Edith, and Agnes and take them to his home. But it looks creepy. They believe they were creepy, but Agnes loves it. But just then, as Gru left, he wants Dr. Nefario to build cookie bots so they can trick Vector into thinking they can buy the cookies. And Gru was ready for the plan. The next day, Gru went back to Vector's hideout, and Margot, Edith, and Agnes gave the cookies to Vector and ordering him to pay. But then the cookies and bots took the shrink ray, took the safe house, and Gru and the minions reclaimed the shrink ray and escaped from Vector without getting detected. And then on, Gru saw the carnival called I forget. Anyhow, he got an idea. He decided to ditch them so he could be free. But unfortunately, it didn't go so well because they can't have fun without an adult. And then on, Agnes wanted a fluffy unicorn, and it's so fluffy, and she was gonna die. And then she was playing the carnival games, but they ended up failing. But Gru has to do it in his way, blast them and win the game for them. And Agnes got the fluffy unicorn. Gru arrived home and in contact to Mr. Perkins, Vector's father, and he got the shrink ray, and he's ready to get paid. But unfortunately, everything went wrong when the girls interrupted him. But then he immediately ended the call, and Gru decided to give up. But despite this, he gave a big piggy bank to Gru. And the minions gave lots of money for him. And Gru was ready to build a rocket. Until then, Margot, Edith, and Agnes were sent back to the Miss Hattie's home for girls. And Gru was heartbroken. A few days later, Gru was ready to steal the shrink ray. The moon. Take the shrink ray and steal the moon. And Vector approaches to Gru's house because he discovered that Gru has stolen the shrink ray and tricking him into thinking those cookies were just a cookie box this whole time. And Vector tries to get Gru out of the way from the moon, but Gru stopped him and sent him falling. But he survived and ended up getting to the power cables by accident. Gru arrived in space and shoot the moon and shrinking them. And Gru's plan finally succeed. He finally got the moon. Until then, he realized he saw the ticket. He isn't going to make it, but unfortunately, he has to make it fast. Went back to Earth. And then Dr. Nefario discovered something terrible. One of his minions got grown back to his normal size. Dr. Nefario has to immediately warn Gru, but it didn't answer, so he has to get to him fast. But at the show, Agnes was worried that Gru hadn't came back for her. But Margot and Edith disagreed that if Gru was managed to go back to them, but they gave them up. But Agnes was heartbroken and decided to proceed the performance without Gru watching them. But however, Gru crashed and landed back home, but the stage is empty. And then he found a message from Margot, Edith, and Agnes. But then it was Vector. He arrived at Vector's lair at just the nick of time and ordering Vector to release the girls. But first he ordered him to give the moon, and so he did. And then Vector was so unpredictable, and he may never gonna give the girls back to him, which angers Gru, and standing up to him. And Gru managed to break into Vector's lair, and he punched Vector's shark, but Vector isn't gonna give up so easily. He managed to escape his lair with his ship, and Gru tries to struggle to hold on, but he falls. But he was safe at his airship, and the minions is with them. And Gru tells Dr. Nefario to follow the ship because Vector has Margot, Edith, and Agnes. Nefario agreed, and he immediately warned them that the shrink ray won't keep his items staying shrinked forever because it lasted for a couple of moments and reversed back to its normal size. But then the moon starts to grow back sooner, and the ship goes out of control. Margot, Edith, and Agnes got freed and managed to escape. And Gru saved Edith and Agnes. But Vector grabbed Margot and losing her again. Gru managed to save Margot, but the minions helped him. And Vector got stuck in the moon and nowhere to escape and meet his downfall. And Vector was stuck in the moon, nowhere to escape and where he could find a plan. Later, Margot, Edith, and Agnes were readopted once more. And later, they have a ballet show at his lair instead. And then on, one of the minions interrupt the performance and changed it into the DJ music song. And the minions dances, and Gru joins the dance, including Dr. Nefario and Gru's mom. And Gru's mom felt proud for Gru for changed his life forever. And then on, Gru, Margot, Edith, and Agnes watches at the moon at the night sky. And that's how the movie concludes. So yeah, I haven't seen the first film a long time ago, but I wish I could see it. But I will see what I can do. But at least I did see this on Disney Channel back in 2013, just before Despicable Me 2 comes out until July 3rd, 13. So yeah, I watched dozens of Despicable Me movies so far. Well, I saw Despicable Me 2, Despicable Me 3, and Despicable Me 4 last year, and especially Minions and Minions: The Rise of Gru. So that's right, I got them all, and so yes, I watched this in theaters and dozens of times, and I'm very grateful I saw this movie. And thanks to my sister, Natalia Villafrade, she did change my life about Despicable Me. And I start to like this. Just before I was interested in my other favorites. My personal favorites, that is. Let me know in the comments. And subscribe and stay tuned for the third prequel movie of Minions coming out in theaters next year. Right after the sequel of the Super Mario Bros. Movie. This is Minion Fan 1024 signing off.